Excellent. Good morning, fans of the new network. It is James Ernest with Sarah's Playlist. We are excited to have Tim Moss, bass guitarist and vocalist for Engineered Society Project. Tim, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you for having me. It's a real pleasure.
Oh, we're excited about having you on. We want to know all about the band, but we want to start off learning more about you first and your background with Louisiana and how it affected your passion for music.
Well, it's easy. I was born in Shreveport, Louisiana, and that's a very musical town with a lot of great musicians have come from there. Um, People like Elvis and all that kind of got their start on the hayride in Louisiana, and it just fostered a really great musical community there. And fortunately for me, I was able to grow up in the 70s where we had a lot of great musicians that lived there and came through there. So it was a great place to see really talented people. So I was in that environment at an early age. And of course, my mom was a church organist for 40 something years. And so I've always been around music. And in Louisiana, music's a real big part of what goes on there for sure.
So it sounds like you definitely have had a lot of musical influences in your life.
Yeah.
So with that, how did you learn to play the bass guitar?
You know, it was interesting. Coming from a musical family, I was always around the guitar and stuff or different musical instruments. And a friend of mine down the street was actually a bass player in a band. So I'd go to his house every day and play his guitar with him and all that. And ironically, one time I would help him with his gear at the gigs. And for whatever reason, he wasn't able to make the gig. And I did and just took his place. So it's kind of how I got my start. I just started playing in a band one day.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, shoot, just the luck of the draw. I mean, it sounds like.
Very much so.
Nice. So, how did Engineered Society Project get started?
You know, I had been playing music a long time and different. I always loved rock because, like I said, I was raised at a point in time with some great rock musicians that came out of Shreveport. I had the wonderful opportunity to spend some time with and see and play shows with. So I was very heavily influenced there. And I was in Israel one time, and I was just sitting there looking around and said, you know, life can be short because when you're in the Middle East, you can see pretty much you get a more of a appreciation for how short it can be. I said, I want to play this music that I love, and I don't really care anymore about, you know, who likes it and who doesn't. I'm going to do what I want to do. So I came back from Israel and I set out to find musicians and stuff with a similar vision, and over time was able to, and went through a few iterations of the band. And then after COVID, I decided, hey, you know, we're gonna take this to a different level with some really good players. And so we reached out to a lot of people all over the country, and we found like JoJo Brown, the guitarist, and he was here in Houston. We started writing our Digital Soldiers record. And I'd already had one record out with some really talented guys, but they, you know, different reasons why they couldn't do it in a full-time situation. So JoJo and I started writing the Digital Soldiers album, and I went back with the people that I had recorded with in California and my friends there, and we decided to do the album and bring some guest people on it, and we did. Rip Owens was graciously came on board and did singing, and Vinny Appice, who was, you know, drummer in a lot of different bands, came in and laid some incredible parts down. So we did the Digital Soldiers record, and we said, well, hey, we need to find some really talented people to support this record and go forward as a band. And we reached out and found Sean Salinas, who had come back from Las Vegas. He had worked in the Cirque du Soleil group for a number of years out in Vegas. Great drummer, great guy. And then we found Kris. And that's really when the band started, is when we had a full-time group of people that had a similar vision from different backgrounds. And we did the My TV record. And it was somewhat of a shift from where we were on Digital Soldiers, but it was a welcome shift. And it was really reflected who we were as a band. And that's kind of how things went.
Exactly. With finalizing the lineup, I'm sure some of the philosophies had changed from the first to the second. Yeah.
Yeah. It really had. And, it's hard sometimes to classify what we do as a band because we seem to be kind of in the middle between progressive hard rock and metal. And so, but we just do what we do. And, you can't, I wish we were good enough to say, well, we can do this and we can do that. We're just doing what we're doing. And this is the way it's coming out. And the next record that we're working on, which will be finished here, and we're going to California next week to work on that record and probably finish it, will be a little bit of a shift from where we are on my TV. So we're excited about that.
Oh, nice. Well, it's always good to be versatile, and it sounds like by doing that, you'll hit a wider variety of audience.
Well, we hope to gain audience. That's certainly the goal in this business. And, it's one of the toughest things you can appreciate doing podcasts or having bands. There's a million people doing bands and podcasts and stuff. So it's a constant job every day to gain fans and get more exposure. And that's why we appreciate folks like you taking the time to bring us on your show and help us gather more fans, followers, and all the things we need. Social media plays such a huge part in the business these days. And we have a consultant that we use to help us with this. We recently brought on board because it's just such a huge challenge. So we're working on that side of our business right now.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, it's changed so much. I mean, it used to be you'd stand on the corner and hand out flyers, and now that definitely ain't the thing anymore.
Not at all. As a matter of fact, if you hand out flyers and put them on the walls in some cities, they'll come put you in jail. So
Exactly.
Hollywood's a place they don't want you putting a lot of flyers out. I can tell you that.
Oh, dang. Well, we talked about how the band got started, but how did the band get its name?
I'm somewhat a political type person. I'd spent a number of years in corporate America and formed some opinions about how the world looks and how things go. And engineer society is what I feel. Several years ago, the government took it upon themselves to start engineering a society that reflected their goals, not the people's goals. And I don't want to sound like a rebel or ill content, but at the end of the day, each day we're being we're being manipulated by a government, and they have a predetermined outcome, and that's what's different about America these days. My family came over from overseas, Eastern Europe, and it was a number of years ago, went through Ellis Island and assimilated in America, and over a few generations now I'm here. But people came to America because it was a wonderful place for opportunity, you didn't have a guaranteed outcome, and so it was equal opportunity, but not equal outcome. And that's what's changed. There's still a lot of great opportunity. This is a great country and I love it. But I get somewhat frustrated when I see the outcome being manipulated. And that's what's happening today. I'm not so sure that our current present administration has our best interest at heart.
Going in line, preparing for this interview, I read nothing but rave reviews for Engineered Society Project. A lot of the reviews, though, came from overseas. Why are you so popular internationally?
We went to Europe. We did 11 shows in 4 countries. We felt we needed fans, and an opportunity came up, thanks to Opus, Mindsnap, and Combat Records, to go overseas with a gentleman by the name of Lord Bishop and do a bunch of shows. And we were able to pick up a group of fans over there. We felt like it was important to try to branch out. I mean, in today's digital world, the sky's the limit. The world is just a few clicks away. And we said, you know what, we're going to bring our music all over the world. And that's what we're trying to do. We've been in 4 countries in Europe. We're in negotiations to go back to Spain and some other countries. And we're just going to take the approach. We're going to do this all over. We're not a local band. We played more shows in Poland last year than we did in Houston.
Oh, wow.
So we're not, we're going to take this show on the road, which we have, and we're going to play all over the world. And that's just what we do.
That is awesome. In a couple weeks, we're going to have Kris on. Obviously, you have a lot of experience, but tell us about the benefit of his experience.
Oh, Kris is fantastic. We love Kris. Kris brings a different perspective. His days in G Soul and Blind Justin stuff. He had a lot of huge success back then. And so he continues to bring a perspective that's different from mine, but very good. And it's interesting because we need that different perspective. And Kris is just a consummate professional. He works really hard. And so it's just a good fit for the band, so that we don't, anytime a band has one person doing everything and writing and one thing, it's not good. For us, we have talented musicians, JoJo, Sean, Kris, all of us together write and contribute, and whatever comes out is just what we did as a group. And we're very happy about that.
That is awesome. Yeah, I agree with you. I was going to say the reason why the Beatles were so great is because they had all four of them being able to contribute. And it sounds like with Engineered Society Project, you also have several contributors.
We do. We do. And we have a great group of people behind the scenes, like Opus and the folks at Mind Snap Combat out in California. I have had a great relationship with the guy that produces all of our records, Wynn Davis and Steve Ornest out of Total Access Recording in Redondo Beach, California. They have huge input to how the world looks to us, and they're very helpful and always have been for me. And now they're on board with us at Engineered. So there's a lot of people that do a lot of things for us that, it's more than just four of us swinging away, for sure. We have a huge team, and we're very fortunate.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I was going to say to have the success you guys have had, yeah, it can't just be four people. You're right. I mean, you got to have a team going into it, and it sounds like you've got a great team that you're working with.
Oh, yeah.
So Sean has done the Cirque du Soleil. Um, Obviously, you have great stories with your time in your band, but I can imagine his stories are pretty crazy too.
I would imagine, yeah.
Is there any stories that he shared with you that you could share with us?
Well, the main thing that Sean's about from Cirque du Soleil is just such a high level professional organization that played multiple shows a day. And so being in Las Vegas, if you're the drummer in one of those huge acts, you have to be the best of the best. And we're just so fortunate to have Sean. And he's a great guy. And it just so worked out that he lives here in Houston, about 5 minutes from my house, 10 minutes at the most. So worked out really good. And that's what makes this fun. I've been doing this a long time, and it makes it fun to have great people to work with. That's the secret that why we keep doing it.
Definitely. And then the other secret is, how do you keep a band together?
Well, it's very easy with Engineer because we all love what we do and we love each other as brothers. And rarely do we have a disagreement. We're all pulling in the same direction. It hadn't been hard at all. It's been the easiest band I've ever had.
Nice. Now, I love the fact that your live shows are so charged with energy. How are you able to accomplish that?
I think a lot of it is from the standpoint, and we always work to improve our live shows. We don't consider ourselves experts at it, but we continue to work on it. And so we put ourselves in the shoes of the fans that come to see us. Those people work hard all week and they pay money for a ticket to come see this band. They deserve to get their money's worth. And we're here to try to give them an experience, not just music, but a visual, a feeling, and musical experience. And we don't take that lightly. We understand that it takes a lot of work, and there are a lot of great bands out there that accomplish that. And so when we put ourselves on a world scale, it takes us out of it puts us in a bigger pond. We're a small drop in the ocean, but in that ocean, there's a lot of great acts. And if you're going to try to consider yourself a national touring act, you need to be really good. And we work at being good and getting better every night.
So is it that intense commitment to your show? Is that the reason why you have such a strong connection with the audience?
I think so. Kris does a great job. One of the terms in the business is, does the lead guy get out past the front stage lights? Well, Kris does. Kris is really great to come see and sing, and he's a great singer, and he just really commands the stage, and he does connect with the audience. And we're very fortunate about that because he does a great job. And he's a consummate pro. He's been at it a long time, so he does really good. And he's known in the business.
So, of course, touring in Europe has definitely helped with increase the fan base. But I think one of the other things that might have helped was your Milwaukee Metal Fest and being a part of that compilation. How did that impact your reach?
I think when they announced we would be at the Milwaukee Metal Fest, it raised some eyebrows because we're not known as a super popular metal band, and it was a great experience for us because not only did we meet a lot of new fans at the Milwaukee Metal Fest, we got to see a lot of great acts and meet a lot of great people in the business, and so we uh, we continue to reap the benefits of that. And of course, hopefully there'll be some announcements pretty soon about our next appearance there. And I just can't go into details, but
I know
you know,
what you.
we look forward to doing those type of shows for sure.
Oh, that is awesome. I was going to say one of the other ones you should touch base with is that DW company. They do some really great festivals.
Yes.
Because I've worked with them with Louder Than Life and Hometown Rising and Bourbon and Beyond and Sonic Temple. And oh my gosh, those guys do such a great event.
Yeah. Well, and we don't, that's one of the drawbacks. We have a lot of people work for us, but like DW, I don't know who they are. So hell, send us some info on them. We'll have the people call them because that's what we're about. We work every day to try to do what we do and spread the music.
We talked a little bit about your My TV album or EP before. Could you go into a little bit more detail about it?
Yeah, I mean, it was My TV. Even the first song on the CD is a reflection of what we think. That's what the song's about. Is how the influence of media, whether it be the TV or computer or whatever, has in the country. And you know, unfortunately, I think we're going to look back in 10, 20 years and see that the experience that the TVs brought into our homes and things like that was not as good as we thought they were at the time, and that the impact is not a positive thing. Nowadays you have everybody, um, they've got a phone in their face or an iPad or whatever, and then they seem to have real issues trying to communicate face to face. And it's almost like someone I was watching the news the other day, and they were talking about it was like little hamsters on the little feeding tubes.
Mhm.
The phones and the media is like that, and so that's why we say my TV's trying to kill me, because we think that it's unfortunate kids spend more time these days on their phones and TV than they do outside playing. Like when I was a kid, we didn't have all that. So
Exactly. I know what you mean. Yeah, I was going to say, it used to be you stayed out till the lights came on and then you had to come back home. But nowadays, good Lord, you don't have to come back home because they're already home. They're on their game systems or on their tablets,
yeah,
or their phones. And yeah, things have definitely changed. And I don't think for the better.
no, and unfortunately, I think a lot of parents, and I have Karen and I, we've been together 20 something years, and she had two kids and I had three, so we have five boys between us, and we've kind of lived through the different phases of social media, the internet, and all that. And unfortunately, what I'm seeing today is a lot of parents have chosen to outsource their parenting to the media through things like the phone and the computer tablets and things like that. And that's unfortunate because I do believe the good Lord has a plan for everybody, and he shouldn't spend so much time on the media. There's other places to spend more productive time to learn about life.
Exactly. Your song Fade Away has such a heart-wrenching feeling to it. Is it based on a true story?
You bet it is. And we're doing some things with Fade Away, and I can't say much about it right now, but I wrote Fade Away with JoJo, uh, and it's about my father-in-law, Dr. Ralph Arlinghouse, who was a uh, scientist. He spent over 40 years at MD Anderson and has made a lot of uh, progress in disease and things that changed people's lives and saved lots of people and helped them. My wife's mother, she passed away when my wife was 9 years old. And he dedicated his life going forward to working on this very specific type of leukemia.
Mhm.
And he made a lot of strides in that area that was able to change the world as far as people that get leukemia and stuff and testing and
Wow.
stuff. And so the song is about him because unfortunately, one of the smartest men in the world contracted Alzheimer's, and that's what Fade Away is about.
Sheesh. So yeah, I mean, obviously with having such a strong emotional connection, I can imagine that
Yeah.
yeah, that one definitely gets
That reaches out. I mean, Fade Away, there's a lot of people that are touched in those ways with Alzheimer's. It's a terrible, terrible thing going on in the world. And so a number of people have reached out and I'm not sure what we're going to do on that song. It's going to be on the next record. I'm just not sure how we're going to deal with it because there's been other folks want to be a part of that and stuff. And we're looking at doing something with their Alzheimer's foundation and stuff. So I'm not sure how that's going to work out.
that is great that you're using a negative experience and to help others.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, it has been a pleasure having you on the show today. We are excited about the future of Engineered Society Project. Before we let you go, where on social media, where on the web, where can we find out more about you?
Well, obviously you can Google the band, but we do have Engineered Society Rocks on Facebook, Engineered Society TikTok, Instagram. We're all over. Just Google the band, and you'll be able to see that. And we are always looking for more followers and more fans. And so, we appreciate you taking the time to talk to us, and maybe we gain a few for both of us.
Sounds great. Well, I greatly appreciate that.
Great.